So my dad has been a software engineer for, I think, over 20 years now. So he's kind of like the whole reason I got into coding. He wanted me to become a programmer earlier, like in my life. And I was like, no, I don't want to learn this. In my senior year of high school, I took AP Computer Science Principles. Then I was like, wait, Dad, I should have been doing this way sooner.
I started out just, working any jobs that I could get. And one of the jobs I was working, actually by chance, brought me to a corner that was right in front of a college. So I looked at all the majors. I decided that tech would be the best bet for me.
In my senior year of high school, when I was taking a computer science class, we had just barely learned enough to actually code anything at all. By that point, Valentine's Day had rolled around. I thought it might be cool to just write a simple program that basically says, okay, I put in a height and a width, and then the program prints out in text a heart shape. And that was all it did. It opened the possibility to me in my mind.
Hi guys, I'm Jenny and I'm going to be moderating today's session. My job is I talk to people every day about their opinions on any topic you can think of. Today we're going to be talking about programming. I am just here to ask you questions. We really want to understand kind of where programming is today, which is why we brought in a young audience like you guys. So just speak to your experience. This isn't scripted. We're not asking for you to say one thing or another. We just want to get your honest experience. So just be as honest with me as you can. All right, now I'm interested in knowing, especially for those of you who are kind of new in the field, what are your big career goals? Like, what is the moment that you know that you've made it? What's your ultimate career goal?
As a student, I would say finding a job that is a good work-life balance. I think that's the most important for me. And if I find something that I enjoy, then that's my goal.
I think the ultimate goal is to be able to be on a team or maybe just working on myself, but building out a product that can impact a lot of people. Big products like, you see Instagram or like Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. It has like influence on a lot of people. And I'd love to be on a project that's to that scale.
Just developing like a product for myself and really creating, like utilizing what I'm learning now through like the experience and like working hands-on is now just creating that for myself.
I want to become a part of a team which creates impact all across the globe because softwares are everywhere, all across the globe. And I want to become a part of it to create a positive impact on this world.
Continue to establish relationships with my clients. The fact they're able to advance their careers through what they're seeing on their screen, and maybe they would not be able to access it otherwise. And just project base, we're personalizing the experience for business owners and loans, and becoming a mentor to the younger generations. Really exciting to meet some of the younger great minds here today. So I really gravitate towards learning from them and teaching them some things too.
What's the first thing they're teaching you when you're in computer science majors?
Python is a great choice because from what I've seen getting into industry, you have to pass through a lot of interviews. I think Python is just the easiest language to like get through those types of problems. So learning how to use all like little tricks that the language gives you will like help you better like answer those questions and get through those interview rounds.
I would say one of the best languages to know would be C++ for competitive programming and dynamic programming, because it gives you more access to lower level resources and allows the programmer to have more control over memory, which using pointers, which Java just simply doesn't give to you because it's more sandboxed in a virtual machine, whereas C++ is not. So I would say it's better for competitive programming for that reason. It gives you more ability to manipulate the data set that you're working with.
So I feel it depends on the kind of industry that you are trying to get into. Let's say if you want to get into any quant trading or something like that, then C++ is definitely a good language to go ahead with.
I'm interested in what advice you would give to an aspiring coder and what languages you would recommend that they know.
Yeah, I'd say just kind of learn what's out there and try to be versatile, knowing as many languages as possible, like Python and Java and C++. That way your marketability is maximized.
I'd say choose a language that's most supported by the community.
Okay.
And I think right now that's like the easier languages like Python and JavaScript. And those have tons of libraries that make the work a ton, like way more easy. So I think that's the way to go.
Find a project that you want to build that you will actually be passionate about. I don't know, if someone likes video games, start with making a video game, but it's something simple. And then I would say use AI because, like he said, you can ask AI to help you step by step, and it makes it very simple to learn.
And what programming languages would you recommend to somebody who wanted to get into this? What would you recommend they learn first?
I would say Python because the syntax is the easiest.
You don't necessarily need to have a game. Even if you make mods for a game, that's still a great experience to have. So something like Minecraft, which is already written in Java, you would be able to have that backbone in Java if you were to, let's say, make mods for something like that.
So the other thought that comes to my head is just getting some actual hands-on experience with some real actual code out there in the world. So an example of that might be finding an open source project on GitHub, let's say a game that somebody's put out there, where the code for that game is publicly available to everyone. Maybe you found an issue with the game that you think is easy to fix. Maybe you want to add a feature to the game. Well, if the game source is open, then anyone can just go on and make the change and then ask the actual creators of the game if they would be willing to incorporate that change into it. That's another route. I guess I would consider getting someone to dip their toes into coding.
I think take advantage of the gamer to tech pipeline. Ask them what games they're interested in. Maybe teach them a little bit about ray tracing and how GPUs actually render graphics, and that might, make them a little more interested in both mathematics and computer science. I would recommend learning Java, and then I think Java is right in the middle between a language like Python and C++, where, the syntax of Java is 99% similar to C++, and so if you can learn Java, then you only have to learn, pointers and memory management and things like that with C++.
Well, for someone just starting out coding, just would tell them, just don't be married to your keyboard. It's a collaboration. You're only as good as the world around you. So don't worry about fitting in. I would say fit out, because the problem solving that you have could change the entire platform of what we need.
I would say understand that you're going to be spending a lot of hours in front of your computer. Get a good chair because you're going to need it. And sort of similar to what Ripley was saying, but have a community outside of your computer. You're going to need it, because if you're spending hours in front of your computer, if you're spending hours at home or in the office, you want to make sure that there is a life outside of your computer. And I've seen a lot of burnout in the industry, so you want to make sure that you have a nice work-life balance, or more importantly, a more life-computer balance when you're working with coding.
Tell me, what do you think about Rust?
It's a little bit newer. It's not as commonly utilized, but I think it's something that's going to be more utilized in the future.
Okay. Do you think it'll compete with C++?
Possibly. C++ has been around forever, so you should still know it.
I think Rust was marketed as basically like C, C++, but with memory safety. If Rust, which is backed by Mozilla, very well supported, wasn't enough to dethrone C++, despite being basically built for the niche of dethroning C++, it's hard for me to imagine another language or some other existing language coming in to sweep it off.
Why hasn't Rust gained the popularity over C++?
I think history of a language matters a ton for how much it's used.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to a Rust forum, it's not nearly as dense as if you go to like forums regarding C++. And that difference in, access to, a decent like education, or maybe an answer to a specific question that you have, I think that kind of strays developers away from Rust and more towards C++.
I would say like the credibility, it doesn't have like enough credibility as far as like C++ that it's been around longer, despite like the downfalls that it has to it. But I think if it had a little bit like more history and credibility, it would definitely expand.
Which industries are targeting C++?
Game development, the language you use depends on what engine you use. So Unreal specifically uses C++.
I think a lot of young people are into video games, and C++ is prominent in video game development. So maybe if you emphasize it in the beginning, Like that's how I got into coding. So I think for young people, if they emphasized game development first, I think that would get more young programmers to go into C++.
I think C++ plays a very important role in the industry because if you are a Python developer, so like there are so many libraries that you use that are written in the C++, like the pandas, numpy, machine learning libraries, that those are all are written in the C++. And if we talk about the Java, then the Java, like the Java virtual machine is written in the C++. And right now like there is a quantum chip thing is going on, which is like a future of of the industry. And without C++, we are not able to achieve, like make that chip, because that chip is like a high performance computing chip. So like for that, you need C++.
Well, definitely machine learning, AI, but I see it prominent in autonomous driving as well.
What if a young person, an aspiring coder, said that, asked your opinion of C++? Would you recommend C++ to somebody younger who is just getting started?
I think just like of how fast it works and the speed. I think young people, like their attention span, like being able to learn something quick, it's like on their fingertips. But also, I think learning it might be more like complex. So I think it depends on like your learning style and like what works for you, I would say.
I think it's a great language to learn, like when you're starting out. It's a language that I learned in the beginning of my university, just because it has like, you need to know a lot of concepts to like fully master the language. Then you can branch out, and then, like was previously said, you can just like use less of what you know, but like you still have a foundation, like understanding of what's going on in the background of the other languages that you're using.
C++ has some pretty robust libraries. It's pretty user friendly. It's kind of the life stream of the coding world.
Because it's been so widely used, there are a lot of libraries for what you want to do. So my understanding of what makes a language easy to learn is, one, it should look vaguely like human language, and preferably try to stay away from weird symbols. And second is, I think, having good error messages where when something goes wrong, the system tells you what went wrong in a way that you can actually understand. But when you're a new programmer, I think it's more valuable to be able to get to where the language helps guide you to learning the concept. It doesn't get in the way between you and learning the concepts. And I think other languages are much, I guess, smoother in that regard than C++. So I think, and these are things that I think C++ can't get fixed without basically ripping up existing code bases. So I just don't think it's in the cards for C++ to become more palatable to new programmers.
So I started with Java, then Python, which it's easier than both Java and C++. And then I did C++ last, but I wasn't good at the whole memory management thing, which is a very integral part of C++.
The bad is the memory management. So in short, it basically means if you aren't very careful and specific about what you're doing, C++ does offer you a lot of ways to make mistakes and accidentally shoot yourself in the foot. Compared to other languages like Python or Java that tend to hold your hand a bit more, give you bumpers.
I struggled with that, but once I got out of the coursework and was using it for game development, I've had to worry about memory management less because the environment handles a lot of the hidden stuff of C++.
Some people in government have mentioned recently that C++ is unsafe and should be used less in development for those reasons. I find myself in the group of people who kind of disagree and think that, it's a skill problem.
But yeah, I disagree as well. I think it's been around for decades now. It's this essential part of any coder programmer's library. So I can see maybe in like the financial circuit where you have like security concerns and things like that. But I think overall it's safe.
So basically, to alleviate this problem, we can do more testing and analyze how our RAM is responding, or how our storage is responding, or memory is responding to the program. And we can analyze that, and we can look for the ways where there is a memory leak, and we can fix it. And we need more specialized developers which can easily analyze the problem going through the code. To look for the memory leaks and all that, we can add loggings in our programming language. So let's say we can easily go through the logs and analyze if it's working normally or not.
It's not anything new, right? These are all practices that are already out there. I am not sure if there's anything new that can be thought of simply as a response to this advisory, because this stuff has been there since forever.
Yeah, that definitely opens the door for more work on security, more encryption, just elevating the process.
What other solutions are there for this memory safety issue among C++?
One way to think this problem is like through the way of coding, which is C++. Another way to look at the problem is using from the memory side. So we can design memory in such a way which automatically dispose of all the variables and all the objects that is taking a lot of memory, and we can build an efficient memory system to handle this issue.
Is anybody here familiar with the C++ standardization committee? Well, what's the benefit of having a committee that standardizes C++?
Quality control.
Quality control?
It's a language with like 40 years of baggage. So, there are many different directions you can take it. If you go this way, you might be stuck headed that way. It'll be hard to turn things around. So I think it's a very good idea to design and understand which direction you want to head in before you actually start implementing it. So that's one benefit.
Would any of you guys want to be a part of a committee like that?
I think what would stray me away from joining it is because it requires a lot of focus to be in that type of committee towards just that language. And I think these days, the market requires you to be very adaptable to many different languages. So you kind of want to spread yourself to know, multiple different languages instead of focusing on one. But if I was highly specialized to towards C++, I think that would make me join the committee.
Where do you guys see coding going? Where do you think it's going? Let's say we were having this conversation 5 years from now. Like, where is coding in 2030?
C++, definitely the life stream of the coding world. I think they may add more to C#, maybe another subset programming, but it's been solid. It's historically sort of in the modern world of coding, that's always been the foundation. And I think it will remain consistent by adopting artificial intelligence and other new technologies of integration to make our jobs a little easier so we can focus on bigger problems and bigger solutions.
I think that it's going to be going, as these gentlemen had said, more toward an AI directive where you'll actually be able to speak into your computer or into your phone and give directions. I want a character. I want the character to have red pajamas and a purple hat, and I want them to run through a field of aardvarks. Whatever it may be, you can actually speak it, and it can actually create everything much faster and will actually understand what you want and be able to ask you questions when it needs corrections on things, much like you're talking to a person. So I guess for me, I kind of worry, will we even need programmers as plentiful as we are right now in the future when everybody can be a programmer with their own voice?
But I think with the emergence of AI and like AI tools and stuff like that, I think it will shift the set of problems from, something that we already knew and worked with to, much harder and more complex issues. So stuff like, working on like, how a button looks on a website isn't so much of a challenge as it was like maybe way back then, because, you could just prompt an AI to spit out code for it. So we're going to be working on much more complex, problems moving forward.
I'm really excited with the way things are going because, coming from a background where I didn't really have a lot of access to computers or even like education, I think that the ability to be able to see more code and see more paradigms and everything through AI is only just going to increase my reference experience. So if I can see more code, understand more code, and comprehend it all, that's actually better. So if you are using AI as a tool, you shouldn't use it to replace your comprehension and your understanding, but also it can actually benefit you because you get to see more code.
All right, you guys. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. This has been such a great conversation. We really appreciate your input, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again.
Thank you.